In the shining kingdom of Aurumdale, the golden bells of the palace chimed with joy. Today was no ordinary day. Princess Leona, the kind and curious royal, was visiting the royal bazaar. She stepped out of her chariot, her long gown trailing behind her like stardust. The market buzzed with color, music, and laughter. Merchants waved, jugglers flipped, and little children danced around with wooden toys. But then a strange voice sliced through the cheer. "Fresh dahlias and roses," cried an old man with a basket on his head, "fragrant as dreams. But beware, in their scent lives sorrow and a prince trapped by tears." People backed away in fear. Who would want to buy sadness? But Leona's heart tugged at her. The flowers were too beautiful, too mysterious. "I'll take them all," she said softly. That very evening, the flowers were planted in the royal garden. As days passed, the flowers bloomed brighter than any in the land. But Leona's peace began to fade. She couldn't stop thinking about the strange warning or the prince, and then the dreams began. Every night, she saw a misty garden and a prince with deep blue eyes looking right at her, then vanishing before she could speak. His eyes were filled with longing, as though he was waiting. One early morning, when the sky was still pale with sleep, Leona walked to her garden, and there, playing among the flowers, was a tiny white lamb. But this was no ordinary lamb. Its eyes were the same as the prince from her dreams, blue, gentle, and full of secrets. When she picked him up, a strange warmth wrapped around her heart. From that day on, the little lamb visited her often. He'd curl up by her feet, nibble on her ribbons, and even carry away little things, her scarf, a silver spoon, even her father's portrait. People whispered and laughed, calling him her enchanted pet. But Leona didn't care. The lamb made her feel alive. Then one day he didn't come, and everything went quiet. Rain came. Thunder rolled over the palace. Everyone rushed indoors, but not Leona. Her heart, hollow and hurting, led her barefoot into the storm. Soaked to the skin, she searched every bush, every path. "Will you come back?" she whispered to the wind. Then, rustling, she turned, and there he was, the lamb, standing wet and shivering under a rose bush. Tears spilled from her eyes as she ran to him. She cradled him gently and whispered, "Why do you leave me?" I waited. The lamb touched her hand with his tiny nose like a silent apology, a promise, but he vanished again, this time for good. Leona fell ill. Her laughter faded and her light dimmed. Musicians played, dancers twirled, but her eyes stared blankly out the window. Her soul had gone quiet. Far away in a small cottage near the woods lived two old sisters. One was stooped with age, the other limped from an old wound. When they heard of the princess's sorrow, the bent-backed sister said, "Let me tell her a story. Maybe that will bring back her smile." She wrapped some bread and fish, took her walking stick, and began her long journey. Along the way, she rested by an old millstone. Suddenly, the earth cracked open, and out stepped a donkey with golden baskets. Guided by invisible hands, the woman gasped, jumped into a basket, and down she went. Into the earth. She landed in a glowing palace filled with invisible servants and magical feasts. She ate, rested, and watched. Then she saw him. The lamb from Leona's garden leapt into a fountain and transformed into a handsome prince with hair like midnight curls and sorrow in his eyes. Standing before a mirror, he whispered, "Where is she, the girl who dreams of me?" The old woman gasped. She had found the secret. She raced back to the royal palace and told Leona her tale. The moment Leona heard the word lamb, her heart jumped. "Take me there," she said. With her maid and the old woman, Leona returned to the magical millstone. The golden donkey arrived. Down they went to the enchanted world below. Room after room opened magically for them until they found him. The prince lay still on the marble floor, pale as snow. "No," whispered Leona, falling to her knees. Tears spilled from her eyes, one onto his heart, another onto his lips and a third on his forehead. Suddenly the prince stirred. His eyes opened. He sat up and whispered, "Your love has broken the curse." Music burst through the halls. The palace shimmered. Invisible hands became guests, chefs, dancers. "It's my wedding today," the prince said. Leona smiled, blushing. "And who is the bride?" The prince bowed and said, "Only the girl who waited for me in the rain." They held hands. Joy echoed through the halls, and when they kissed, the hidden palace rose from the earth, no longer a secret, but shining high above the sea where dreams come true.